And we are live. Hey, everybody, have a seat here, wherever you are. Pull up a chair. I'm Nick Valencia, host of Nick Valencia Live. Welcome to another episode of this show. We've been doing this for, gosh, I don't know, about 5 months now, and I feel like it's a good time to reflect on just where we've come from, man. We had such a wonderful experience on this weekend. Over the weekend, we were in Washington, D.C., hanging out with other content creators, newsfluencers, they call us, people that are in this space that you trust for your information. And we were surrounded by so many people that are, really household names now in this new media space. People like Carlos Eduardo Espino, people like Aaron Parnas, and we were there. And it was so nice to get this affirmation that we're on the right track and that we're going where we need to be and that we're right where we need to be. I've told you guys that I feel like this mission that we're on is one that we can't take full credit for. It's one that's driven from a higher purpose and one that comes from a cause-based mission. So thank you guys, everyone who's been following along. Really cool to be legitimized like that by the Pew Research Center. And just a lot of other exciting things happening behind the scenes. But we want to get right into it and follow up on some stories that you may have seen that we posted in the last 24 hours. And one of them, probably one of the most heartbreaking stories that we've covered here at Nick Valencia News, and one that's really near and dear to my heart. A lot of you guys know this, that I struggle from mental health issues. I was diagnosed with post-traumatic stress very early very early on in the pandemic, January of 2020. And I'm very sensitive to people who battle with mental health issues, which is why this story really got to me. And it's one that we have been digging into for months now. It's about a story from my hometown, a woman from Northeast LA, 55 years old, who had mental health issues, poor mental health issues. And she had expressed some concerns to those who she was getting treatment with, concerns that even though she was an American citizen, that she could be targeted and wrapped up in these raids and be eventually deported. Her poor mental health led to this psychosis and this paranoia that she had around this. And like so many of you who may struggle with mental health issues, you know that some things can become obsessive for people like us. We start to get manic and obsess over an issue. For her, according to those close to her, the issue was ICE and the siege of Los Angeles. And on the morning of August 25th, she walked to Avenue 60 in the overpass over the 110 freeway, and she took her life. She had expressed to those leading up to the day of her taking her own life, she had expressed to those around her that she was scared that, quote, ICE was going to come get her. And this really is something that we thought about deeply about reporting out, but I really wanted to highlight, if only because it underscores the invisible casualties of Trump's second administration. We could talk about the raids, we could talk about the arrests, the detained, we could talk about the inhumane treatment and the abuse, physical and emotional abuse that's being laid on to the Americans by these federal immigration forces. But it's really this mental health toll, that one that is invisible, one that doesn't really get talked about enough, and one that is clearly a tangent and an aspect of these immigration policies. So if you wanted to read more there, it's on nickvalencianews.com. It's a story that we just put out a couple of hours ago. Another one that we put out, what good is law? I mentioned our trip to Washington, D.C. We sat down with the Women's Refugee Commission, who you guys may remember we had on the show a couple of weeks ago, probably over a month ago now, and they had done something state of the art, a detention pregnancy tracker, because according to them, the Trump administration is failing to meet their own standards and their own policies. The Trump administration is violating policies put in place to protect the most vulnerable in immigration custody, and that includes pregnant women. And according to Zain Lakhani, the director of migrant rights at the Women's Refugee Commission, the Trump administration is at best doing something that is inhumane, at best unlawful, and at worst, it's inhumane. And so there's more reporting on our website. And that brings us to our next guest here. And as somebody who's been holding the government accountable, somebody who's been standing up to the powerful, and somebody who's really been trying to call balls and strikes on this. I mentioned what good is law. Someone like Michael Carillo joins us here. He's an immigration attorney. He could talk all about that. Michael, come on in. Thank you so much for joining Nick Valencia Live. We really, really appreciate you having me here.
Hi, Nick. Nice to be here. Nice to join you.
So you have a variety of cases that have been, people that have been caught up in this nexus of immigration policy by Trump. Let's start there. What are you dealing with? What are you seeing on an everyday basis?
Sure. So let me just tell you, I'm not an immigration attorney. I'm a civil rights attorney. And
Got it.
what we see is, sadly, we're on the front lines of this inhumane dehumanization of Latinos in this country. And we represent 11 U.S. citizens and one permanent resident that was unlawfully detained by the Trump administration, Border Patrol, and ICE in various locations here in Southern California.
Can you talk to us? You shared with us some video here, and I want to play with it. And I want to set up one of these clips. I believe that it was labeled Jesus Ramirez. Can you talk to us about Javier Ramirez? Excuse me. Thank you for the correction. Javier Ramirez. Can you tell me, set this video up for us? What are we about to see, and what does it show?
What this shows is ICE and Border Patrol agents entered into a car lot where Javier conducts his business, buying, selling cars, things of that nature. They entered without a warrant, which is against the law, and they approached him. And unfortunately, what you don't hear on the video is that when they approached the lot and came onto the lot, they said, "Go get him, he's a Mexican." And so they started speaking Spanish to Javier, who is fluent English, U.S. citizen. And as he starts asking questions, they, boom, immediately throw him to the ground. They detain him against his rights, and then they detain him again for another 5 days. And so he's held in custody for so long. He's ultimately released, not charged with a crime of any sort, and now we're seeking civil justice for him.
Let's see the video. Let's see it happen.
Hey, yo, man, come on the Battle PD. We're gonna put a report on this shit. Come on the Battle PD. Fuck that. They can't be teaching people like that. Hey, fuck that. Fuck that. Hey, fuck that, bro. Watch it out. He's an American citizen, bro. Come on. Fuck out of here. Hey, dog. You're not gonna make anybody come right now, bro.
That's a U.S. citizen who we're looking at there pinned on the ground, a client of yours. When you hear DHS Secretary Kristi Noem say that American citizens are not detained, that American citizens aren't being caught up in this, I want you to respond to that.
Infuriating. It's a lie. It's a flat out lie. It doesn't shock me when the president himself is consistently lying about his policies and what he's doing. But now to have the secretary herself make these outright lies, all she has to do is call my office. She can speak to one of our U.S. citizens that we represent. And the article that came out about, I think, 170 U.S. citizens that were tracked, their cases of unlawful detentions, arrests,
It's ProPublica reporting, yeah.
Yes, we have 11. So just our office has maybe almost 10% of those cases. There are far more out there, and it's just a tragedy what's going on.
How common is this? I mean, you lay out those 170 cases. Some of those cases, they had their charges willed. Some of these people were detained. They were denied access to immigration attorneys, according to ProPublica's reporting. For days on end, they were kept there, some of them in some cases. How common is this, and just what is happening? I want to make our audience more educated and empower them to know what's going on.
Well, this summer it was very common for U.S. citizens to get wrapped up in these things. And really, it's racial profiling. All of our clients that we represent, they're not the people protesting. They're not the people trying to follow ICE or Border Patrol. And I have nothing against those people. I think they do fantastic work. They save the humanity of the Latinos in this country. But our clients were on their way to work or trying to pay their bills, take care of themselves and their families. And yet they were detained because they were brown in America in the wrong place at the wrong time. And that's what we're seeing a lot of. And really in LA, it was popular in the summer to get wrapped up in these. And now we're seeing it in Chicago and Portland and other areas of this country.
Is the Trump administration, is the Department of Homeland Security, when it comes to immigration enforcement on the streets of America, are they moving in good faith, in your opinion, counsel?
They're not moving in good faith. They are moving in bad faith against Latinos simply because of the language that we speak, the Spanish language, the Spanish music, the culture. Not only the immigration enforcement, but now with the Supreme Court giving a green light to their activities in what I'm calling the Kavanaugh stops, or what they call the Kavanaugh stops, it basically told Border Patrol and ICE, hey, go after landscapers, go after people that speak Spanish, that work in these low-income jobs. I mean, how racist can you be to just say that all Latinos that speak Spanish that work in these jobs are likely undocumented. These are people just trying to feed their families and work. This is wrong.
They're going after the Latino workforce, and it's clear to us here at NVN that it's a family separation 2.0. Go after heads of households, dismantle the family unit from within. And it's happening, as perniciously, but also kind of invisible, because it's not at the border, right, where they were separating them before as policy, as a matter of policy. It's happening in this interior enforcement. That's so evident to us. And I want to ask you, Michael, are you Latino?
I am.
Okay, so
Absolutely.
this probably hits differently for you, or I don't want to bait you or put words in your mouth, but I know as a Latino, for me, I'm third generation Mexican American. Part of the reason why we have this platform is because I have been treated like a wetback that crossed the Rio Grande, and I talk and dress like this, right? And so I'm using my privilege and my platform to step up and stand up for the undocumented. I don't want to bait you, but I have to think, as a man, I've heard you talk now for a handful of minutes. I see that you're passionate about this. How does it impact you as a Latino in America?
It's hard for me to hear these stories constantly, not just from our clients, but also in the news, about just how mistreated our population, our community is. Uh, I speak Spanish to my son, and it makes me second guess myself when I'm out in the street and I speak Spanish to him, simply because I don't want to get detained. I don't want to get approached by men with big guns and masks. So, no, this is Operation Wetback from the 50s all over again. Sadly, history repeats itself, but it is an all-out attack on Latinos in this country. And when you have people like Stephen Miller that are claiming that Latinos are invading this country, that immigrants are invading, when you use that type of language, it creates an us versus them. There is just us. There is just Americans. There is just people living in this country just trying to feed their families and do the right thing. And so to see this dehumanization, this treatment of Latinos, it's horrific. And I'm sorry that you feel the same way that I do, Nick. It's just an all-out attack on us at this point.
It is, and it's hard to think otherwise, and I still get pushed back by conservatives. Last week, they really decided to go hard. I don't read the comments, but Michael, they picked up the phone and they started calling me to harass me, right? Just to be like, you're not a journalist, etc. Obama did this too. Where were you? That's a popular thing that I hear in the comments when I do, or from others. Obama did this too. But with you here, you remember Obama years, he deported a lot of people. How is this different? How is this, when people say this and they say, well, Obama did it too, where was the energy then? Just how is this different?
This is different than the Obama years because, yes, Obama was known during his administration for deporting many, many individuals.
Yeah.
But his policies affected those that have been convicted of crimes, people that have been deported before. And he went through the lawful means. He didn't go about terrorizing communities, entire populations.
Cruelty wasn't the point.
Yes, that wasn't the point. The point was to follow the procedures, treat people with respect and humanity, but say, hey, you know what? You've committed a crime. Maybe you're unlawfully here. And hey, you've exhausted all your legal remedies. You got to be deported. But this terrorization of our community, where you have kids that are afraid to go to school because they're brown. This is what's totally different than the Obama years.
It's totally different. I saw an image shared from Chicago compared to an image shared back in the 1960s with Ruby Bridges, the young Black girl who integrated schools. And to see this bridge and sort of wall of people protecting these young kids with backpacks so that they wouldn't get scooped up because things like the Sensitive Locations Act aren't in play. And now immigration enforcement can go into daycares. We saw it happen. They can go into hospitals. We've seen it happen. They can go into churches or immigration court cases. We've seen all of that happen. And it's just, now it's the American citizens also. So when you talk to your clients, you and I are moving differently. You use the example of talking Spanish to your son. Now you add the fact that they've actually gone through an experience. How have they changed? Give us some stories about some of your clients and how their life has been altered by these experiences.
Our clients are some of the most courageous human beings that I've ever met. They've gone through something very traumatic and traumatizing. For example, Carrie Lopez, she was 9 months pregnant and she was arrested, shackled with chains over her pregnant belly. She went into premature labor. Luckily, the baby's okay. Beautiful baby that we've now met. Their lives are changed forever. And going through those processes will change. But I say that they're courageous and strong because they are on the front lines advocating for change and saying that what happened to me is wrong and it should have never happened. And I'm trying to prevent that from happening for future generations. And they are out there speaking to the media, to anybody that will speak out, listen to them, because they know that this is important. They know that it's bigger than them, but it has seriously affected each one of them.
What's the remedy here, counsel? How does this get fixed? I mean, I know in the courtroom, taking this to court, holding the powerful accountable, you're doing that. But, something you said just stuck out to me. We shouldn't have even been here. This shouldn't have even happened.
Yes, we're taking this fight to Border Patrol and DHS and ICE in the courtroom, but it's going to be a long battle, and it's an uphill battle, especially in light of the Supreme Court and the decisions that they've reached. And so I think you said it right. This should have never happened, but it keeps happening, and it keeps happening because nobody is intervening. Nobody is saying, hey, this is probably too much. You're overstepping your bounds. You're terrorizing communities. Until that is done, and hopefully maybe in the midterms when there's some accountability that can be had, we're just going to see it happening all over the streets across America.
And the sad reality is that it is happening all over America, all across the streets, a lot of them Democratic cities where people are out filming this stuff. That's the other component into it. We don't know how many people have been caught up, and DHS says one thing when actually another thing happened. We've seen that. But I mentioned this is the sad reality. So we have you here. You have multiple stories of people who have been caught up in this. What is the advice to brown people on the streets of America who may be fearing exactly what your clients have gone through already?
I tell people to carry with them 2 forms of government ID. If you are brown, or if you happen to speak English with an accent, or you speak Spanish as your first language, which is so tragic because we shouldn't have to do that in this country. The Fourth Amendment is supposed to protect us from these unlawful search and seizures.
These Kavanaugh stops.
Yes, from these Kavanaugh stops. I've counseled some folks that work in landscaping. You need to cover up your equipment. You need to not put the lawnmower outside of your vehicle, because you can get it stopped. According to the Supreme Court, that's lawful. And then boom, next thing you know, you're deported and your kids are left here in this country. So there's a lot of ways that I counsel people, but really it's about having a plan in place. And if you are a U.S. citizen, like the clients that I represent, carry with that the 2 forms of ID.
And this isn't to be dramatic or poetic. We've seen the videos. My executive producer, Eric Sandoval, he shared with me a video yesterday that we did not post, but it was from Los Angeles, the Southland area, an agent, suspected a federal agent, just sort of like on the hunt in a car wash, just walking around looking for people. And one of the things you picked up on, or one of you said that I picked up on, they didn't have warrants in this case of Mr. Ramirez. There was no warrant. A lot of these scenes and incidents that we're seeing are warrantless. That's the problem. And that's the red line for us. It's not that they're going after the bad actors, is that they're going after people who don't have any criminal records, who have been moving in good faith, and they're doing it without warrants in masks.
Yes, and when in our history have people with masks ever been the good guys, right? These car wash stops, I totally forgot about the car washes. I mean, Justice Kavanaugh even said you should go to the car washes. And they are so public, they're out there. The workers that are there, I feel bad for them because they are exposed. But again, these are warrantless intrusions into private property, which is supposed to be against the law. But Justice Kavanaugh says, well, screw the law, let's go after the brown people.
And that's it. We've equated this president. We know he really loves Thomas Jefferson. We really know that, he's been Andrew Jackson. I'm sorry, not Thomas Jefferson, Andrew Jackson. We know he really loves Andrew Jackson, who is basically, the president said the court has made their ruling, let them enforce it. And we're seeing the sort of similar thing under the Trump administration 2.0. they laid out the framework of what they were going to do, counsel. They gave us the framework and the plan. They said the largest mass deportation in the history of America. And it seems that anyone that gets in their way, whether they're here authorized or not, is going to get it and is at risk of being picked up themselves.
Yes, and these people that are at risk are all brown people, Latinos. We have a case where a 15-year-old special needs boy, he had multiple guns pointed at his face outside of a high school where his cousin was registering. And those ICE agents, Border Patrol agents, claimed that they were looking for somebody that looked just like him, and which was totally
You
false.
fit the description. You
Fit
look
the
exactly.
description. Exactly. Sitting in a car while brown is apparently.
Where have we heard that before? I mean, the same thing that happened to the Black community 200 years ago and that's been happening to them since. It's like now it's our turn. I've heard that living here in Atlanta, you know?
Yes, and instead of police this time, what we have is Border Patrol, ICE, that are affecting the Latino communities. But in that case example that I gave you with the special needs boy, DHS put out a statement saying, oh, well, we got the wrong person, but the mom helped us find this gangbanger that was a cousin. Another false statement, because the alleged MS-13 gang member was a Salvadorian man. This family had Mexican roots, had no idea who this person was. But essentially what DHS did was put a bullet on the back of the heads of each one of these family members, because for DHS to say that these people helped them to try and find gang members that needed to be deported, I mean, how else can you put this family at risk besides
everything is justifiable for them? Everything is excusable. And so that brings me to my last question here. You know, you've built a career on holding the powerful accountable. I believe in this country. I believe in the democracy. I believe what we're doing here is a beacon of moral clarity, and we have a strong moral compass, and that one day power will change hands, and that the people that are responsible for this will be held accountable. Maybe not all of them, but we're part of the record here is what we're doing. Do you feel the same way? Do you feel as much hope, or where do you stand on things?
I always have hope. There is always hope, because Operation Wetback back in the 50s, our people went through it then, and here we are. We're not going anywhere. I'm a proud American. I'm proud to be in this country. I'm proud to practice law and to defend people's rights and to pursue justice. And I know that eventually things will change. The tide will turn, and these people will be held accountable. I know, and I have faith that things will happen. Until that time, I'm calling on people to film these interactions. And also, we've sought a petition to the United Nations so that they can investigate what's going on in this country. And we're asking people to sign this petition at change.org/justice for immigrants. So please, if your viewers can join us in this petition.
Is that the number or four spelled out? Justice for or four spelled out?
Sorry, justice, FOR, immigrants.com.
Okay, great.
Sorry, change.org/justice for immigrants.
We'll make sure people have all the links. And as we blast this out, just the last thing, I end every interview by asking, is there anything I haven't asked you that you think is important to know, or anything you would like to talk about? You've been lovely, man. Thank you. Stage is yours.
No, I mean, I appreciate the work that you're doing, Nick, and I'm honored to be on this.
Thank you.
I wish that we were speaking about anything else besides this terrorization of our community, but I'm happy to be here. But again, I have hope. I have faith, just like you do, Nick, that this country will right itself and that we will get back on track.
God bless you. And I'm sorry for calling you an immigration attorney at the start. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but you're a social justice, civil rights attorney. Also, shout out to Marissa for putting us together. I used to play hockey with one of our mutual friends back when I was 12 years old. And you can believe that. That's why Michael is here joining us today. What an incredible mission that you were on. Michael Carillo, attorney at law. Thank you for joining Nick Valencia News.
Thank you, Nick.
What a conversation there, doing God's work out there. I mean, 11 U.S. citizens he talked about being caught up in all this. And so you hear Kristi Noem, she says, hey, American citizens aren't being caught up in this. That's just a big fat lie from the news. No, it's not. He said, all you have to do is pick up the phone and call my office. I'll give you the details. He gave us some of them. They're outrageous. We showed you a video of Javier Ramirez, a U.S. citizen who's been caught up in that. And their lives have forever been altered. It's not just, again, to be dramatic or poetic that we're carrying our birth certificate every single day. Notarized in some cases, 2 copies of government ID, not talking Spanish out publicly, not meeting in crowds. You know, I think that the only thing greater than hope, the only thing, man, is fear. And fear wants us to isolate. Fear wants us to not be in our community. And unfortunately, right now, for a lot of us in the Latino community, it feels like we're being persecuted, like we're being targeted, and community is not an option. But we want to highlight the good in our community, which is why we have our next guest here. Mexican filmmaker, somebody who I reached out to and connected early on in my independent journey here. Jorge Xolalpa Vasquez, come on into the show. Welcome to Nick Valencia News, man. Hey, good to
Hi,
see you.
Nick. How's it going? Thank you so much for having me.
You are on the front lines of a fight. And if your name, if he looks familiar and his name sounds familiar, it's because for those of you who have been following this along, he was behind really amplifying that video that you saw at Ronald Reagan Medical Center at UCLA of ICE agents, immigration forces inside of a hospital refusing to leave despite not legally being allowed to be inside. Jorge amplified that video. We amplified it. It took off. It went viral. Jorge is also undocumented, so his fight means a lot more. I mean, he's really putting his safety on the line. Jorge, you're also out with a new memoir here. There's a lot to talk about, but let's just start with how are you? How you doing, man?
I'm great. Thank you for having me. Thank you so much. And just so you can pronounce it correctly next time, it's Xolalpa. But everybody always gets it wrong because it's like with the A, the CH, and the J or whatever. But yes, thank you so much. I'm excited to be here and to see you. It's been a while.
It sounds so much more beautiful when you say it.
Thank you.
Hey, so talk to us about what's going on. You know, the fight has continued for you. Let's start with Los Angeles and the atmosphere there. You were front and center, you know, not necessarily an activist, but amplifying what was going on. And now you've continued and throughout the months. So what's the state of affairs now for you?
So I've actually, I've always worked as an activist, but behind the scenes through my work, through my films, through everything that I do in my career as a filmmaker. But I also, until recently, I was doing property management for years. And when the raids happened, they actually stopped by one of the buildings that I was managing, and they blocked. They actually took the whole block. So it was really, really devastating. And after that, that's when I decided that because nobody in Hollywood, none of my colleagues, which I know some pretty big names, Latino names in Hollywood, nobody was talking about it. I said, let me take it upon myself, and I started doing the breaking news on TikTok, which I never thought that it was going to be a thing. I've stopped recently because I also don't want to put myself and the life of my family in danger. But I am part of group chats where I let people know what's happening just because I think it's important that we stay updated and we stay informed.
Yeah, I mean, it's not slowed down, even if some people think it has, and that the sort of immigration forces have moved to Chicago. You talk about the whole block that you were on being targeted. Has there been any? I mean, and then also getting off social media. I was going to ask you if there's been any fear or things that you've done to change, but then I heard that, and there are safety precautions that you're taking now because of what you've been doing.
I think the craziest thing is that I got a lot of death threats, and they were very specific of things that people wanted to do to me for protecting my community. And it's really unfortunate because I don't like saying my community, because to me, anybody that's in America is my community, and that's how it should be. But things have changed, things have changed completely. And I hold on to this very last paragraph that I wrote in my acknowledgments in my book, where I talk about that I still believe in the America that I met in 1998 when I moved here. And I look around and it's nothing like that. I mean, I just recently moved back to the town where I grew up, and it looks nothing like it did back in 1998. And it's so sad. It's so sad because you can feel the tension, you can feel the community being divided, and for that reason too, I kind of just stay low because I already I'm an independent filmmaker, and some people can say I'm starting out. I've been doing this for 10 years, but I do have audiences that watch my films and they recognize me. I go to Ross and they're like, "Oh my God, you're that director that does TikToks about immigration." I'm like, no, it's not me. And it's like there's only so much I can do to tell people that it's not me, but it is me. So it's like I don't want them to think I'm ashamed, but if anything, it's just for safety, because you just never know what can happen.
Something that you talked about in your memoir, I mean, just the title of it was just so striking. Ni de aquí, de allá, ni de allá. I mean, talk to us about that duality. If we could put up your book on the screen there. Yeah, this is the cover of his new memoir, Ni de aquí, ni de allá, which loosely translates to I'm not from there, I'm not from here, I'm not from there, I'm not from anywhere. I totally related to this. I mean, it's like you heard it in the Selena movie. We're not brown enough to be Mexican, and we're not white enough to be American. Is that sort of the similar theme? I mean, talk to us about your personal experience, strength, and hope.
Yes, so it all started when I started doing films. I've done films in Spanish and in English, and from there it kind of developed into what it is now because Mexico doesn't receive my films the way that Americans or the way that
Hmm.
Europeans do, and it's always because your movie's in Spanish, but it's not Mexican enough. It's very Americanized, and it's about the American experience. I'm like, yeah, it is, but it's also the experience of being Latino at a place where I'm constantly trying to fight to be recognized for who I am, and I'm constantly being not being accepted. So it's like I almost wanted to name my memoir In the Limbo, but I was like, no, neither aquí, neither neither from here nor from there, because here I'm not uh I'm not Latino, I'm not American enough, but I'm also not Latino enough. So it's almost like I'm fighting two different completely societies, and I'm like, okay, let me put everything in paper and explain to you guys why I feel this way. And I went all the way back from when I was 9, the moment that I came to the US, and all of the way until 34 when I got married, because that's when a chapter ended and a new chapter began, and I wanted people to know that I'm just as equal as everybody, and I deserve to be treated with dignity and respect and be accepted. That whole idea that if I'm not invited to a table, I'll make my table. Yes, I've built a bunch of tables, but you know what? It'd be really nice to be invited to a table as well. Just like I invite people to my table. I've created so many bridges. Invite me to you. Let me cross yours as well. I've opened so many doors, built so many doors. Let me walk through some of those doors as well. And I'm not the only one. There's 600,000 of us DACA recipients that feel that way, and because of that title, automatically we're not worth it. So I'm here to tell everybody that we are, and I think that I want to use myself as that example. I call myself the walking American dream because I'm literally, making all my dreams come true.
Let's pull back the layer on this, because to some people who look at the black and white, even the DACA recipient shouldn't be here because they weren't born here, right? They're talking about going after birthright citizenship, even though they say that's not something that's on the table. We're just a year into this 4-year administration. Let's give it some time here. When people get deported, it's like people that they're talking about, like you, what are you going back to? What do people go back to? You've spent more than half your life here. Your duality is your reality. There's no way that you can argue that you're not American or contributing to this country with what you're doing and your value added. What are people going back to when they get sent back home?
And you know what? It's not, for me at least, it wouldn't be a home that I would recognize. I mean, I remember where I used to live, and I remember what the neighborhood looked like, but it's been 27 years, and I just want to make something very clear, because I always make this. It's not about us like being stubborn that we want to stay here, because I'll say this, I love this country so much. I believe in it so much. What I don't like is what it's becoming. And I think that we still have time to fight to bring it back to not to what it used to be, but to just remember that it's built on, mixes of races and immigrants and, Black culture and, a lot of things that they're trying to get rid of. Right. And the reason why I said that is because, you can try to send me anywhere and I'll still be successful. You can send me to China, or you can send me to Guatemala or wherever, because apparently they're deporting people to different countries. I'm still going to be successful. You're probably going to still look at my social media and see me walking in success. But the deal is that I'm not going anywhere, because this is my home and this is where I built my career. And that's what I want people to understand too. And the idea that if you speak Spanish, you less than, do you have any idea what it means to be bilingual, trilingual, to speak more than 4 languages? Clearly not, because it becomes this issue that if you speak Spanish, you're less than. And let me tell you something, you're wrong.
You're pulling on a thread here. I had a conversation with somebody about, the community that I cover. I make no illusions about where I stand on things. And somebody said to me, this is great, but why do you do your interviews in Spanish? They should be speaking English. And it's like this, it doesn't dawn on the person who's asking that question that maybe they do speak English. We're just having a conversation in Spanish. Maybe they can speak both. Maybe they speak 3 languages, right? I mean, I don't know. It's just sort of,
Someone asked me why I was publishing my book in Spanish, and also it's also going to be translated into 2 more languages, in Swedish and in German. And I said, well, because there's an audience in Europe that really watches my films and they're interested to watch this. There's algorithms to show you this. There's polls that show you this. Also because I can, and I think it's important that I mean, the world is literally like this is our world. This is where really people know about our work. People know who we are. People are not dumb. Excuse me for saying that, but it's like, if you speak more than 1 language, they treat you as if you were dumb because you're supposed to speak American, when American is not even a language.
Let's pick up on this here. This the contributions from the international community are so rich in this country. I mean, it's such a immigrants run this, the backbone. So what do those conversations sound like with your European friends or your friends from abroad when they ask you the situation that's going on in America right now?
You know what? It's a lot of there's not a lot of questions, it's more statements. They feel embarrassed, like secondhand
It's a lot of
embarrassed.
sighs and pauses. That's what I got in Canada. Just like,
Yes. And they're like, wow, like,
Mijo.
how are you surviving? and it's interesting because out here, we know what's happening. What's happening is not okay. We're being literally, I don't want to use the word segregated because that's too hard, but we're really being separated and we're being cornered into places. And the thing is, like, outside of the country, the way the media is portraying it is as this president is just dumb. They're making fun of him. I don't even like saying his name because he doesn't deserve his name to come out of my mouth. But it's like it's so crazy how the media outside, instead of saying this is a dangerous man, they make fun of him and they make fun of what's happening. And that's really unfortunate because we all know that what's happening right now in our country is no joke. I mean, 4 or 5 days ago, I had a family member get picked up by ICE, and I think I told you. I think I told you, and I told a couple people. I let them know, and it's like it's difficult because he's been here for 33 years. And the way people react to this, like the vile and the viciousness that people have for these individuals is just not okay. Because, okay, so take away the status, but what about the human decency? Like, you call yourself a Christian, but you can't even like pray or be decent to other human beings. What does that say about you? And
I do call myself a Christian, and Republicans and the conservatives don't get to corner the market on Jesus Christ. I'm doing this because I am, because I'm a Christian in part. I'm doing this because when I pray, I hear from God to keep going and that you're on the right path. Before I left CNN, I heard get prepared to go out on your own. And here I am stepping into this. They don't get to say they do this in the name of Jesus Christ. They don't get to say they do this in the name of God. And one day I know that they will be held accountable. But one of the things you said that shocked me is like, I should know this. These videos are going all around the world. They're global. There's people in Europe that are following. What's the reaction in Latin America, and from what you're hearing about these brutal ICE arrests that we have going on right now?
So we have family and friends in like, I'll speak for Mexico because I'm from Mexico. I have family in Mexico and friends, and surprisingly, they only hear that people are moving back, but they don't hear about the deportations. And
tell them to watch Nick Valencia News.
Yeah, maybe like 2 days ago, we were having a conversation with one of my mom's good friends in Mexico. And she was telling her, things are not good out here, because she was saying that they wanted to come out here for a vacation. She's like, yeah, but just be careful because even tourists are being arrested and deported and thrown into detention centers. She goes, what do you mean? So she's like, yeah. She started explaining to her, and she said, wow, they're not showing that. They're just telling us that people are fed up with being out there. They're just moving back to Mexico. And that's the thing, like the narrative between what's happening here and the media in Mexico, it's all tied in. And it's just really unfortunate because, you have these billionaires who run these media companies, and the only people that suffer are the people at the bottom of the chain, people that are being detained, a lot of street vendors, people that don't have any criminal record, because this is how it started, right? For report all criminals, but most, like 90% of the people that are getting detained have no criminal record other than just being in this country, and that's still not considered a crime. So I don't know, I don't know why, like in Mexico, they're not really talking so much about it, but it's not good. And it all started in LA. I was literally at the epicenter when it happened. I've seen it happen in my own eyes. I've been having dinner with my husband, and I see it happen, and I want to intervene, but he's like, you can't really do anything because there is such a black and white issue right now. You don't know what they're gonna do to you. You don't know and he's a citizen. He's like, you don't know what they're gonna do to me. And so it becomes a thing where I feel so powerless. So I hope that in the midst of all this negativity that's happening in the country, my book, each chapter ends with a message of love. So I hope that I can bring some kind of love and peace into people's homes if they do end up reading the book, because ultimately that's the only reason why I decided to release this book this year. I pushed so hard to release it this year, and I'm proud of that. I'm really proud of that.
Yeah, we're so proud of it. Put it back up on the screen, aquí there. Yeah, and we have you for a couple more minutes here, Jorge, and we wanted to ask you, because you come with a very unique skill set. You are a filmmaker. You're so just skilled at being able to use media. President Trump is a master manipulator of the media. He is so effective at being what we call the WWE president, where he is strong and wrong. And I would just love to get your thoughts. You don't have to say his name because I know you feel a type of way about that, but I would love to get your thoughts about how him and his administration use media to, sort of spew out their propaganda.
I mean, I'll say this. He is one of the, he's the best reality TV star that's ever existed in our time. If you have, because I honestly do believe that the team that's behind his administration is filled with producers and script writers to be able to cause all this tension, because the way I see things happening and unfolding from a filmmaker's perspective, I can see when a producer is producing somebody, and he's very produced. So for him to even take credit for all the malicious things that are happening, he's not that smart. Honestly, to be honest with you, he's not that smart. And
he ain't dumb though, man. I think he's cunning.
Yeah, right. We've seen him throughout years before he was even in that chair. He every single thing that he touched turned into it got run because he didn't know how to handle things. But he always had producers to spin it, to make sure that if something was lost, he made a spectacle of it. So
yeah, you got it.
So I think that they're doing a great job at producing one of the biggest reality TV shows of our time, which is The White House. I mean, that's all I can tell you, because honestly, he's not that smart. I'm sorry to say this, because he's a human person, a human being, and he deserves respect. But the truth is, he's not very smart. And it's embarrassing to have someone like him in such a powerful position, because it discredits, I feel like, not only the people before him, but the people coming after him. Like, it just opens up a message that says anybody can do this, and it's sad. It's really unfortunate.
The script for the American experience is in your hands. What do you do, and how do you write the ending, Jorge?
We continue to stay hopeful. We continue to move forward, despite anything that can happen. Remembering that there's a reason why they're doing this, and we might not like their reasoning. For them, it's because we don't belong, but in reality, it's because we're a threat to them, because we have made this nation. And I include also the people of color of this country, people, Black people, Asian people, immigrants in general. We're a threat to this administration because this is our biggest tool and our most strong weapon. And it's something that they don't have. And, it's unfortunate to, imagine going to a debate with someone that doesn't have any single source of education. They're going to be intimidated. And this is exactly what's happening. So as sad as it is that they're doing all these things, I also understand why they're doing it, because they're threatened by our brain and by our intellectualness. And it is, unfortunately, again, this is why I keep saying, you can send me anywhere, but I'm still going to be successful, and I'll make sure you remember that I'm making it happen anywhere I go. So how we write the end of the script, we just remain hopeful, and we continue doing what we do best, staying educated and staying informed and helping out the community.
I'm going to give you the platform now to shout out or call out your Hollywood peers, man. That shocked me too. What's your message to them?
You know what? My message to them was very clear a couple of weeks ago when I left the group chat, when I asked, what are we doing for our community? And nobody said anything. They left me on red for 2 days. And then a day later, they started planning a big party for a function to fundraise money for some BS thing. And I said, great, I'm leaving this group chat. And then a couple of them reached out to me individually, and I said, I want nothing to do with this. Yeah, maybe I might be blacklisting myself, but guess what? My work is going, it's pushing boundaries, it's pushing borders. And all I need is God and my audience to be able to move forward. I don't want to be part of a group that there's undocumented people here, but they're not willing to do anything about it. I mean, I say this very humbly, but I raised money to feed 100 families when the race first started. I didn't have to tell anybody. I didn't have to do anything. I didn't have to do a whole show. I did it because of the kindness of my heart. And these people have more money and more power, and they can do more than that. And they're not, because they don't care. And it's unfortunate. Hopefully one day they'll realize that they should have spoken up. But in the meantime, I'll continue doing the work because it's important for me.
Thank you so much for taking the time with us, man. Jorge Xolalpa Vasquez. Did I
Thank
get
you
it
for
right? Xolalpa? Did I get it right?
Yes,
okay.
You did.
All right, nailed it.
Thank you for having me. Yeah, thank you. I appreciate
gracias
that.
a ti,
Buy the book,
ti.
guys. Buy the book. Pre-order the book. It's now up for pre-order on all major platforms. It's xolalpa.com/pre-order, and follow me on social media. But pre-order the book. I'm gonna go on a 25 city book tour starting January 23rd. So I'll be updating you guys about it, and hopefully I'll see a couple people all around the country.
Let me know when you're doing it in LA, and then if you're out here in Atlanta,
I
I'll
am gonna
let
be
your
in
boy,
Atlanta,
dog.
so I'll keep you posted for sure. Yeah.
Hey, Jorge Xolalpa, thank you so much for taking the time with Nick Valencia News. We appreciate that. What a lovely guy, man. I mean, he literally was one of the first people that I talked to and connected with when I started this independent journey. And that brings us here to round us out to the back end of the show. And something that we've been really consistent about is highlighting the cases of those who have been directly impacted by Trump's mass deportation forces. People who are moving in good faith in this country, people who have contributed to this country and added value to everyday Americans. And yet they were targeted by an administration who swears up and down that they're only going after the bad actors. Our next guest is a unique story, at least to us, because we haven't been able to highlight that many stories of hope, of people who have been in this purgatory, this immigration detention infrastructure here, and have gotten out. Our next guest is Masuma Khan, and she's joined by a familiar face, Riya Khan. It's her daughter, who made an appeal on this show a couple of weeks ago about her mother being in custody in California City in the Mojave Desert. Masuma has now been released and is joined now with her daughter alongside her, Riya Khan. Thank you so much, Masuma and Riya, for being on the show with us. How are you doing?
Doing much better, having my mom back home. Yeah.
Masuma, I bet. I mean, it's so nice. You're shoulder to shoulder. You didn't think that potentially this would be possible. What does it feel like to have your mom next to you?
Oh, it feels great. Yeah, it feels great. You know, being able to touch her, hug her. Yeah.
And Masuma, I mean, I'm sure you thought about so much when you were in custody. You thought about your daughter. You know, she was out here fighting tooth and nail for your release. You know, what was it like when you first were able to see her and touch her again?
Yeah, I feel really proud of my daughter, and
Oh, it's okay.
Oh.
It's okay. Hey, this is live streaming. This is live streaming. It's what it's all about. It's okay.
yeah,
So, you know, we know that you have a smile on your face right now, but what you went through was really, really difficult.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, it's okay. Is that something you need to turn off, or is it all right? Maybe something going on in the background. We'll work that out. We're so excited to be joined by Riya Khan and Masuma Khan, and just while they get everything squared away while they're off camera, just to bring you guys up to speed, Masuma Khan was in California City Detention Center. It's a detention facility that was opened back in the 90s by Core Civic. Core Civic has been behind, you know, they're the bad guy in all of this. You know, they are the owners of these private prison infrastructures that profit between $27,000, $35,000 off a detention of one single person, and they're just transferred in purgatory back and forth like human luggage. In the case of Masuma Khan, she was detained while she was reporting for a USCIS interview. She had been reporting for 5 straight years. It was the first year of the Trump administration's second term that she reported again, presented herself at the office, and was taken into custody during her USCIS interview. I think we got it all squared away now, and we're joined again by Riya Khan and Masuma Khan. So we were picking up here talking about, Masuma, the conditions in which you were held. You've muted yourself, according to my producer, if you want to unmute, but we would love to hear about what you went through, Masuma, and just how bad it was in custody.
I am still in trauma, so I cannot, like, I don't know how to explain all the things happened to me, and it was like uncertain, so I was not ready, and really I am so still traumatized due to this things happen to me I never accept.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
It's okay. Is that just like an alarm going off in the
It's
background?
a fire alarm check.
Ah.
Yeah. Sorry, you can't control that.
No, it's okay. We understand. Hey, we just hope that you're safe and you're okay and you don't need to get off. If you need to get off camera, it's okay. It's
No, I know
1000%
it's bad
okay.
for everybody else, but
Oh, you know
it's
what?
okay.
Look, this is, you know, that the story isn't about the fire alarm. The story is that you're next to your mom.
Yeah.
That's the story. And people understand when they're watching. Like, you know, look, I had a fire alarm that was going off yesterday. My wife could tell you if she was here. You know, it was annoying us too. But, you know, to talk about how long were you in custody? How long were you held for? And what eventually led to your release?
Let me speak for her. She's having a little bit of a hard time getting
Sure.
things across right now. But she was in custody for 31 days, and we had a court hearing. Oh my gosh. Sorry. We had a court hearing on the 5th at the Eastern District of California, and we had filed for a TRO and habeas, and the judge converted that to a preliminary injunction, and so that was the order for her immediate release on the 5th, and that's when we got to California City, we had a little bit of a hard time because I guess it was never communicated to them that she was to be released, but eventually we worked it out and we got her out. Sorry. We got her out that night, and then we went out to a nice dinner at a Thai restaurant, so it was great. Having our attorneys too, they're not willing to back down. They're three badass women, and I'm so proud to have them on our team as well.
Yeah, I am so proud to have them all, including my daughter, special daughter.
God bless you guys. You know, I do, you know, I want to be able to have a conversation about this. I just think it's a little distracting with the fire alarm consistently going off. But if you're free, we have another show on Thursday. We'd love to welcome you back. Maybe we could talk offline because I haven't connected with you since you were released from custody. So I'd love to follow the story and just to sort of hear a little more. I'm sorry the universe is conspiring against us right now with this fire alarm. Do we have a little bit of a, maybe we have a little bit of a break here? I haven't heard it go off. I'm going to try again here while we're here. I don't want to give up. So you were in custody here in California City for more than 30. I think that's I'm not gonna we're not gonna be able to continue in good faith.
Okay.
I'm so sorry, Ria. You're welcome back on the show, and we really will get your mom's story out. I'll call you after we get off the broadcast here. I'm so
Okay.
sorry it just didn't work out. But I'll give you a call on the phone. Okay, I'm so sorry. God, I'm sorry, guys. It was a happy ending, though. You know, I love a happy ending. We really wanted to showcase that for you guys because, like I said, leading into that interview, we haven't had a lot of signs of hope here. It's a lot to be consuming this kind of content and to be seeing everyday people who are out there contributing to this country who are being caught up in this, whether these are clients like Michael Carillo talked about, American citizens, whether it's people like Masuma Khan who have lived in this country for decades, raised a daughter who went to college and is, you know, working you know, contributing to this country financially. I mean, it's just so crazy to think about all the people that we have talked to that are mixed up in this madness are good people who have been labeled as illegal, who have been labeled as criminals, who have been labeled as, I don't know what the point is of this other than cruelty. And that's where we keep landing here, is that it seems that the government is not only not moving in good faith, but that they want to deliberately implore cruelty on those that they are persecuting. We heard it over and over again from our guests today. This is a racial persecution. This is racial profiling. This is singling out people because of the color of their skin. And so when DHS Secretary Kristi Noem talks about Americans not being caught up in this, we know that that is a lie. When she wants to instead highlight that an 8,000% surge has gone up against federal agents in terms of death threats and not focus on the people that are being targeted and act like the ICE agents are the victims, when we see the victims every single day being slammed to the ground and beat up by guys that look like G.I. Joe, wine moms who are out in the suburbs in front of $3 million homes who are being launched with tear gas on their way to their kids' school because they see a construction worker who's building a home in their neighborhood getting taken into custody. What are we doing here? There was a way to do this without violence. President Obama showed us he deported more than 300,000 people per year. It went up every single year he was in office. Members of the Latino community, some of my peers, called him and Joe Biden the deporter in chief. And when Joe Biden was first elected as president in 2020, I remember reporting out that there was not much difference between his immigration policy and Trump's other than interior enforcement. He wasn't doing the raids that we saw in the first Trump term. But now it's all gone even crazier. And here it is, where cruelty is the point. And here at Nick Valencia News, we're in it for the long haul. I've said enough. We had a great show today, and we appreciate you sticking here with us through all the technical difficulties and just through everything, guys. Thank you for staying 10 toes down for us here at NVN. We are so grateful to our loyal paid subscribers and to you guys for watching. God bless you. Thank you for making truth go viral on purpose. And as always, have a great day on purpose.